Alright guys, can we settle down? So, who are you?
As one, we are Team Smiley Face, the official one.
Except no other substitute. Can you
we are Annie, Samuel, and Tessie, and we chose two websites that we thought would be great to compare, and we found a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to talk about today. So, one of the websites is by a collaborative called Newsboost, which in our opinion is a good website, and the other one is by Darren Shaddick, who is an illustrator and graphic designer, and in our opinion it was a lesser website, which is why we compared the two to see why it came across as that to us.
So guys, today I'll show you these two websites. So the first one is Novus. Novus is a London-based collective design. They do drawing, nice stuff, and so on. The site itself is divided in two parts: the shop, and as well some images about their work, like a portfolio. The second website is set by Darren Shaddick, as said. He's an illustrator and based in London as well. So let's talk about this website. This website is pretty much simple. There is a unique line above here, and if you click on About, you can read some information about him. But if you scroll down, can you see this face here? Well, this is an Easter egg. We spoke with him, and he told us that this was a joke started with his friend, but then he decided to leave it here. So yeah, it's nice, but it seems to be unprofessional. On the work tab, there is no way to see what his works look like. You have only to click randomly and check how do they like, and yeah. So now I'll give the floor to my colleague Annie.
So I'm going to introduce and compare with the visual part of the two websites. For the first side of the good one, which is Notebook, we can see it's designed more professional than the other one. And although Darren united the color tone of his site, which is pink, blue, white, and black, and which is nice.
Tiny bit louder if you can. A little bit louder.
The straight blue color of his text seems to destroy his design. Neither can we understand why did he put lines under the buttons. And on the other hand, Notebook made a good contrast between the colors. They made the site look single tone at the first sight with black and white. But when your mouse attached to the button, the background becomes colorful with their artworks. This makes their site more appealing and interesting when clients click around the buttons and play with them. Because of the contrast of the text from Notebook, we can see which is the title and what's more important. Furthermore, most of the logos and titles are links to their homepage. This makes people easier to understand and operate the website. However, for Darren's website, he made the homepage button same as the others, thus we can't easily recognize the function of them. For one page on Darren's website, there is a large space on his works page, which makes the whole site suddenly united and confusing. To sum, the typesetting of the site decide what style you are going to show people. Also, a good design helps people to operate and operate the site quickly and easy to understand, and it makes your site look more efficient. After all, the visual part of it is the easiest part to see.
So, in conclusion, we both sent the website owners a set of questions, and they actually answered, which was really nice, in which we found out that most of the things we found out while analyzing the websites were actually true, because Newsboost had a clear view, and they sat together and thought about what they wanted to tell before making the website, and they got a professional to do it. And Darren Shaddick, on the other hand, said that he has actually continuously been working on it for 2 years, so he's just trying to figure it out while he goes, which shows in his website, because some things don't really match, and like the random button is really random and not really professional. And he added things later which makes it just clash. So for us, that seems like the most important thing. You have to actually know what you want to say before making it, because if you don't know, the person who's watching it will also not know, and at the end you just want to get your point across and have actually a use for your website. So do you guys also think that, and do you think that we successfully analyzed it, or do you actually think that it's maybe the other way around?
Brilliant. That's a lovely comment. Well done. I think you did really well. But I think just a discussion. Anything that strikes you about either site or how the guys presented? Or I think it's brilliant that you got the response back from the artists.
Yeah. But I also think, like, is it like, well, I mean, I don't know if fair is like a good word. Is like fair to like compare like a group of like a collective that can combine their skills and their insights and their forces to a lonely illustrator, like, or not fair, or is it like?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Are we being unfair?
Well, not fair, but maybe a bit like, how do you say that? Not yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's just really hard because, like you say, it's just several skills you can combine.
Or several insights at least.
I think that's a really key word. I mean, what's the point of these presentations? Why are they so firmly positioned within this module?
Well, to see what's the difference between that.
For us as students to understand why profiles differ, and it's kind of to understand the reasons why. And I think it's something that it makes perfect sense when you say it, but you had to analyse. That wasn't obvious when you're looking at the first week when you were picking those websites. It's very easy to pick one that is more successful, but you're absolutely right. If you've got a collective who have an established brand, their website's going to have a particular flavour. To compare that to somebody who is trying to establish their brand or their practice, you're not going to be able to compare them, but you can draw some insight. And for you as practitioners, you're entering into your creative careers, unless you studied graphic design and you've studied web building at a really in-depth level. These insights are valuable because he's probably piddled around for 2 years making mistakes because he's, possibly not evaluating. The other thing, it's going to be quite interesting, is we've got some sites coming up this week and next week where they're not a brand, they're not selling a product, they're actually just raising their profile. And their sites are so much more exciting and so much less you can be very playful, because what they're trying to do is engage the viewer in their art rather than selling a product or selling a brand. Anybody else agree with me on that? Yeah? Do we have groups that think, oh, actually one of my guys, he or she they're completely opposite of this because they're not selling anything other than a persona? Yeah, so and again, it's about us looking at other people's as much as our own analysis. It's us looking at what other people drew. So I think it's, just make sure you're commenting, you're writing these comments down. I'd like to ask about the website where you said it was unprofessional to have the playful element. Does anybody disagree? Does anybody kind of like the idea of having something a bit playful and a bit whimsical?
Yeah, actually I like it very much. You said like a couple of times that something is professional, something that's unprofessional. I felt something like a lack of what does it mean? How would you define professional?
It's a really good question.
For me, it's just having something that doesn't really seem to connect with the rest. Because when you look at Darren Shattuck, maybe I want to have an illustrator maybe I want to get him to collaborate with me or something, and I want to do it with someone who is serious, and seeing like a random button and just a video or GIF of him just of his friend just eating, I will get really confused, and I will already start to think about what he is like, and maybe have wrong conclusions because of that.
That's an excellent answer to an excellent question. Anybody want to chime in?
No, well, sometimes it clicks with the illustrated words on like a playful website, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. It depends on who's looking at the website.
And
again, and I don't disagree, I think it's an absolutely valid point to make. It could be considered unprofessional when compared to other very professional established groups. But as I said a couple of weeks ago, the hipster culture is a lot to answer for, because actually we're starting to see that people want that slight playable or playful element. And again, these are the things that we want you exposing. It's not that we expect you to have answers to these things, but you're going to be facing these decisions. And it's a balance, it's getting it right in relation to your audience, in relation to why you put the website together. And again, excellent comments on what is the aim of the website. And if the aim of the website is to provoke and educate, that's a very different approach than someone who is selling a brand. And just the fact that we're asking these questions means we're becoming a little bit more, we're less naive than we were 3 weeks ago about judging other people's websites, because you need to understand a little bit about their audience and where they're coming from. But what is really interesting is you do recognize when someone gets it wrong. You recognize instantly where that's maybe a risk. You might say it's a mistake, but it's a risk to put something like that there. I think absolutely excellent presentation, well done, and excellent questions. So round of applause. Woo! Well done, brilliant. So who's the next group? You guys? I don't think we're going to be able to take a break.